from top to left, an ampullet from Hindman's uniform, and a lithograph of the Battle of Kennesaw Mountain, Georgia, where Hindman was wounded in November 1863. A Southern upbringing. A native Tennessean, Thomas Carmichael Hindman grew up in Mississippi. After serving in a Mississippi regiment in the Mexican War, he returned home to begin his career in law and politics. In 1856, Hindman moved to Helena, where he married Mary Watkins Biscoe. He also met a fellow lawyer, Patrick Claborne, and became one of his closest friends. Mary Hindman called Molly with their oldest daughter, Susie. Hindman's marriage to the daughter of Henry L. Biscoe gave him financial security, allowing him to concentrate on politics. An advocate of the succession. A staunch advocate of Southern rights, Hindman hated abolitionists and believed that succession might be the only hope of protecting slave property. After Abraham Lincoln's election to the presidency in 1860, he actively campaigned for succession and was instrumental in taking Arkansas out of the Union. In Confederate service, Hindman earned the rank of Brigadier General soon after enlisting in the Confederate Army. He led his brigade at Corinth, Mississippi, and the Battle of Shiloh, Tennessee. Sent back to Arkansas, Hindman set out to stop the advance of General Samuel Curtis's Union Army. His orders to burn food and fodder, poison wells, destroy bridges, and block roads and forts with felled trees angered his fellow Arkansans. After his forces failed to drive the Union Army from the state at Prairie Grove in December 1862, Hindman received a transfer back into the Army of Tennessee. He maintained a field command until November 1863, when he was injured during the retreat from Kennesaw Mountain. A tragic death. After the war, Hindman fled with his family to Mexico. They returned to Helena in 1867, and Hindman resumed his political career. He urged conservatives to take the oath of allegiance in order to vote against Republican candidates. Hindman advocated suffrage for African Americans, hoping to bring freemen into the conservative cause. In 1868, Hindman was murdered, leaving his 30-year-old wife Molly with 4 young children and little money with which to support them. This photograph of Hindman and 3 of his 4 children, Susie, Tom, and Biscoe, was taken in Mexico, October 1865. more about Patrick Claborne, the Irish immigrant. Patrick Claborne, the son of Dr. Joseph and Marianne Claborne, was born March 17, 1828. At the age of 21, he emigrated to the United States. He settled in Helena in 1850. The son of privilege, Patrick Claborne was born into an Irish Protestant family of high social standing. His father was a prosperous doctor in County Cork. The young Patrick received an education. When Patrick was 15, his father died. Against his wishes, Patrick apprenticed to a doctor. He cared little for medicine, and in 1846, he failed the exam for entrance to the Apothecaries' Hall. Humiliated, Patrick joined the British Army. For 3 years, he suffered the miserable life it afforded enlisted men. Quitting Ireland. The 1840s were years of political and social unrest in Ireland. The situation worsened after the Irish potato crop failed in 1846. Patrick's brother, William, wrote in July 1849, "It is the wish of all my brothers and sisters to quit this country for America." On November 2nd, Patrick Claborne and his siblings, William, Joseph, and Anne, left Ireland. They arrived in New Orleans on Christmas Day. Patrick Claborne made his way to Cincinnati, Ohio, where his medical training enabled him to secure a job in a drugstore. Claborne settles in Helena. In 1850, 22-year-old Patrick Claborne moved to Helena, Arkansas, where he found a job with the Grant and Nash drugstore. The store manager, he received $50 a month, a room at the rear of the shop, and his meals, which he took with Dr. Grant. To Claborne, the move probably seemed like a simple chance for advancement, but it changed the course of his life. Patrick Claborne in Helena. Patrick Claborne found a home, friends, and a profession in Helena. When the Civil War began, he supported his adopted state, writing to his brother Richard, "I am with Arkansas in weal and woe." From clerk to lawyer, 2 years after arriving in Helena, Patrick Claborne became a partner in the Grant and Nash drugstore. When he and his partner sold the store, Claborne used his profits to enter into the study of law. Becoming a lawyer offered Claborne what he wanted most, an avenue to distinction and civil importance. These people have been my friends. By the time he became a citizen in 1855, Patrick Claborne had entered wholeheartedly into Helena's social life. He formed a chess club, joined the local Masonic order, and was an active member of St. John's Episcopal Church. Claborne counted among his friends John J. Horner, James Millender Hanks, Thomas C. Hindman, and James C. Tappan, some of Helena's most influential men. The young Irish immigrant found a home and friends in Helena. The Yale Rifles. During the summer of 1860, as the presidential election drew near, many Southern communities formed militia companies dedicated to defending the South and her institutions. Among those formed in Helena was the Yale Rifles, named after former Arkansas governor and Mexican War hero Archibald Yale. The men elected Patrick Claborne their captain. Leaving for war. In the summer of 1861, Patrick Claborne and 115 men of the Yale Rifles marched off to war. Before boarding the steamboat for Camp Richter, Claborne addressed his men and the citizens of Helena at the Methodist Church. As they escorted the men to the boat, the citizens of Helena could not know that most of the men, including Patrick Claborne, would never see Arkansas again. I am with the South in life or death, in victory or defeat. Patrick Claborne, May 1861. A brilliant and beloved commander, Patrick Claborne was a brilliant military tactician and one of the Confederacy's most able combat officers. Less than 2 years after enlisting, he held the rank of Major General. Claborne fought in the Battle of Shiloh and was wounded twice during the Kentucky campaign. He saved the Army of Tennessee at Ringgold Gap. He fought with distinction at Pickett's Mill and Atlanta. Quiet and soft-spoken, but with an undeniable air of authority and competence, Claborne was beloved by the men he commanded. Death in Tennessee. In late 1864, Confederate General John Bell Hood turned his army north and marched into Tennessee. Hours before the Battle of Franklin, on November 30th, a somber Patrick Claborne met with his officers. As he parted from his old friend Daniel Govan, he said, "Govan, if we are to die, let us die like men." His 2 horses having been shot, one after the other, Claborne strode into the hail of shot and shell, his sword aloft, encouraging the men. Moments later, a Minie ball struck him just below his heart. 3 of his men found his body the next morning. Patrick Claborne's war was over.